Okay, hopefully this is working. This is the first time that I've streamed anything live from Zoom. So I'm still just working all this out. Give me just a second. Start everything. All right. Namaste. Something came across my plate. And when things come across my spiritual threshold, I just like to take a moment to talk about it because people in our spiritual communities, rampantly talk about the word authenticity, in ways that just make you kind of look at things and kind of wonder. I'm pulling up my chat so I can see you guys on YouTube and make sure that I connect there as well. So give me just a second, pulling everything up. Here we go. Got to make sure I can see two different chats at the same time because I can only see one right now. Put the Zoom chat over here in case people want to talk in Zoom. Okay, you're here. I want you to ask me all of your questions about authenticity, preferably in the YouTube live chat area as opposed to the Zoom chat. That way I don't have to keep watching two different screens. But it keeps coming up. Many spiritual teachers and healers are calling themselves thought leaders. This movement of authenticity that's coming out, some of that's coming across my threshold, and I'm hearing that more often from many of you who study and mentor with me privately. And you're asking me this question. No, I don't think it's frozen, Meg. I think it's just your internet. But anyway, you're coming to me with these questions, and I really wanted to address it. I believe that there's a difference between being a thought leader and being in the authenticity movement. The authenticity movement, wow, you have to have a lot of courage to be a part of that. I will say that. You have to have a lot of strength to be that level of a spiritual catalyst to want to connect your private life with your public life as a thought leader. You can be a thought leader, ushering in an age of new consciousness, anchoring in that age as we go through this recent 12/12 portal, which seems to be going well into January the 11th. You can do all of that without connecting it to the word authenticity. I am not a particular proponent of this authenticity movement because, as per my title, did you notice what I labeled it? Authenticity, the wolf in sheep's clothing. For many of you who come and sit with me in mentorship sessions, when you're opening up to your spiritual abilities, it's like saying, okay, oh my goodness, I've opened this gigantic Pandora's box, and I'm feeling everything differently for the first time, and I'm seeing things through these fresh eyes, and my ears, I've got ringing and tinnitus and whooshing noises and all sorts of things. I'm grinding my teeth. I have insomnia. Anxiety is paramount. All these things are happening, right? As newly awakened beings. Because if you weren't born with it like I was, or you didn't wake up really early on, you kind of come to me, and what I've noticed is you don't quite know how to deal with it. Yet what you're seeing in spiritual communities after opening up the lid on that Pandora's box and realizing that there's no closing it, after opening that lid, what you are then being told that you need to do is to be authentic, be present in your authenticity, which, by the way, requires an immense amount of personal, emotional vulnerability. And that, on top of all the things that are happening in your spiritual ascension symptoms, oh my goodness, the waves of awakening that are rushing through, not monthly, not weekly, not daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes every minute. Some of you are just kind of struggling not to go into a place where you feel mentally unstable during these spiritual awakenings. And then You have people saying, oh my goodness, be authentic. Go ahead and put yourself further out there for the wolf to devour. And the wolf is a metaphor for the third dimensional fear-based collectives that basically want you to prove yourselves. And you got enough of that going on in the religious and political paradigms. In your people don't really understand what's going on when you're going through these spiritual awakenings. So you're waking up very bravely and courageously, and you're already feeling like you just ripped a Band-Aid off a wound. And then someone comes along and starts tapping that wound saying, you need to be authentic. You need to be authentic. So first of all, is that true for you? Do you feel that you feel a little bit vulnerable in that? Do you feel a little bit vulnerable in that is what I want to ask you. And I'm not trying to tell you how you feel. I'm just observing the people who sit with me on a daily basis and sharing with you what I'm noticing is that you come to me with your heart's raw, and you come to me in this space where you're saying, I've got to go share my gifts with the world, which is hard enough. A lot of you come from religious backgrounds. A lot of you come from belief systems that really it's hard enough to open up to this. And then others around you are saying, oh no, look, she's kind of going bizarre. She's going wackadoodle. It's hard enough because she's no longer going to church. She's talking about things she sees that we don't see. And then on top of it, you've got authenticity. So I'm just going to look at that. For those of you who are coming through with negative core beliefs that you haven't integrated, such as insignificant, where you're already having a harder time giving yourself the confidence to stand in these abilities. And then on top of it, you're told to be completely transparent and authentic, which, by the way, means rip off that Band-Aid further and expose yourself while you're already healing. Do you see how that can be vulnerable? When currently in the present stages of the human conscious collective ascension, in the present stages on that, we're like 4951, we're wavering. And those of you who are coming to me are the bridge of consciousness to hold the stability for the planet. Do you know how important that is? And then you're opening yourself up to what you may perceive as people labeling you, defining you, judging you, attaching to you. There are attachments involved in that. So you open yourself up to a certain vulnerability of bringing your presence forward into the world. And it is, well, it can be terrifying. It can be absolutely terrifying. My most recent example was someone telling me that I wasn't authentic because I wasn't consistent, as if they are supposed to know, and I am required to explain every single waking stage and moment of my life and teachings, wherein if every time you find an inconsistency, you label that as disingenuous and lacking in its authenticity. When you don't see, and there's no way to fully see someone's life behind the scenes. So when you don't see everything in our lives behind the scenes, because some things are precious and sacred, and you don't see that, you are going to start to judge teachers and healers as something that it's not. You're going to start to see it. Oh my goodness, that's inconsistent. They said one thing in this teaching and said that in another. Oh, they said this thing about their personal life, and then a week later, something else had shifted. So would it be easy to feel vulnerable in that? Absolutely. It feels like insanity to me. It feels like putting yourself out there, and people are saying, oh, it's so brave. It's so raw and vulnerable and transparent, and you heal that way. Well, sure, you heal that way. But do you want to walk into a war zone that is currently your life when you first start spiritually awakening? Because that is what it feels like in the beginning. while trying to heal from the bullets that are coming at you, bandaging them, and then hoping not to get shot while continuing to go through it. It's like saying, I just got out of a war zone. I'm still bandaged up. Let me just get right back in it in order, to glorify the name of that label, authenticity movement. Sorry, guys, I'm not there. I'm not there with it. Let me look at some of your comments so I can respond. Inconsistency is authentic? No, inconsistency is growth. Inconsistency is normal. And there is nothing normal except change that's real. Because if you're operating in the now, every single thing that you say will be shifting. Every single thing you do will be shifting. And if someone is looking at that to be the same, then you are not looking at everything, because it can't be the same. If you're shifting, if you're growing, if you're changing, there cannot be one little thing on every single plane of existence that is the same. The only constant is change, which means, yes, inconsistency. What is authentic in this instance? I only got that question, but I didn't see the instance, Jude. Joe says, when my stepsister has been around my mom, and I were awake all night with stressful thought forms. That's different. That feels more like something where you're feeling vulnerable about the energies because of whatever's going on in her attachment. So that's different. Do you feel the need to be authentic about it? Because we don't use authenticity as a weapon to sling in someone's direction because we feel judged, vulnerable, and possibly attacked. There's the other side of it. Authenticity feels like slinging spaghetti at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. Oh, if I tell them this, will they love me? If I tell them that, will they accept me? If I tell them this, will I belong? Look, I laid it all out there, and there should be nothing to judge because I told the truth. And you know what? People are going to judge anyway, because judgment is the biggest problem in the dualistic human nature right now. So is it going to make you feel better to face that, to walk through that war zone with bullets flying again and again and again? Because if you go into that authenticity, then you feel the need to defend yourself. And if you feel the need to defend yourself, then that is because you believe in attack. If you believe in attack, you are perpetuating the negative core belief of powerlessness, and you are forever in that state. Do you see how that can be? It's not about putting on a mask, though, Bobby. It's more about honoring what's true to you and what do you want to share. I'm not a religious person, but I'm going to use this metaphor from the Bible. Allegedly, I haven't fully even read the Bible. Now that's authentic. I don't need to, because Jesus didn't do most of the writing in it. Yeah, I am authentic. But there's a phrase that says, talks about casting your pearls before swine. Now, I don't particularly believe that anyone is swine. I believe that you all are beautiful, vulnerable, creative, loving, compassionate beings. However, there is a part of you in your egoic stages that look for inconsistencies because of what I call woundology. Carolyn Mace, wonderful channel in Medical Intuitive, discusses this as well. Woundology is when you connect to each other at the root of something that is powerless victimhood mentality. And when this occurs, basically you are connecting based upon what's raw and what's hurting. And there's nothing wrong with it. But in this authenticity movement, when you are casting your deepest, most sacred pearls, if you will, the swine, which I'm going to put as the ego, in this statement, casting your pearls before swine. The swine is the ego. The swine is the part of you that says, I feel bad, so I'm going to connect to someone else who might feel bad too, and I'm going to pull out their powerlessness so that I feel better about myself in my egoic form. Yeah. And then you begin to apologize and defend and do all this stuff when people go, oh, you just said that yesterday. That didn't make sense. Well, maybe I grew 4 new brazen kahunas since yesterday. Maybe I awakened to a whole new state of myself since yesterday. You don't know what someone else has been going through, so why judge it or interpret it as being inauthentic, disingenuous, or inconsistent, lacking in truth? All that's doing is connecting via woundology and powerlessness. In every moment, you are connecting to various fractals of your own divinity being displayed by reflections of everyone around you, and they are all you. Everyone that's judging you is a reflection of you judging you, because it's the matrix. Everything. There are light bodies, there are spiritual families, absolutely, and they are all versions of you. There's no way not to be soul family with every single being that you have ever met. Take that in for a moment. I mean, that you have ever met. Even the ones who have done the most devastating things are not doing that to you. They are doing that for you. You are ever evolving, ever awakening, ever transpiring, and there is no truth other than inconsistency and change. Yet humans are saying, be authentic. What does that mean to you? Someone said, I find that authenticity brings up a lot of shame and guilt, in which case, whatever's there for you will be reflected back from someone else who is going to attempt to shame you and cause you to feel guilt so that that can come up and so that you can heal it. I like to define what is sacred for me. I'm sorry I'm talking funny and breathing funny, but I like to channel things and I channel fast, but I have a cold. So that's why I'm kind of like, breathe, oh, that hurt. Breathe again, oh, that hurt. So I can't keep up with my own channel messages right now because of the breath. But yeah, you are casting your very most deepest sacred nature before wolves. And they are reflections of you, trying to get you to honor you, to bring up your deepest sheep, if you will, for healing. But quite frankly, I don't like to heal that way. I'd rather heal in the arms of Divine Mother. I would rather heal in the arms of all the angelics around me, because there are other ways to heal other than duality, and that is what I bring to you today. A different thing. Maybe there could be a new movement about your sacred nature and the beautiful sharing of your sacred nature by choice. Maybe that could be your new movement. Discretion, wisdom, discernment in your sharing. Someone just said, I never liked the word authentic, because like many words and messages, who says what is and what isn't when there are so many of us? Absolutely. And then she said, I try not to judge out of malice, judging only for the best of me. It's almost impossible not to judge. The message that I'm bringing to you is not don't judge, but rather discern from divine wisdom. Judgment is from ego. Judgment is going to label a positive or negative dualistic belief system. Discernment comes from something that is above belief. It comes from your self, capital S, higher nature. Mm-hmm. Oh, let me look through some more of your questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone just said, I like how there are other ways to heal, because this way can seem so brutal sometimes. That's why I'm here. Just to remind you that you have choices. That if shadow work is not relevant to you, and believe me, I do have a wonderful shadow work process. And if it's relevant and if you still believe it, because you are in the 49% of the human conscious collective that is still in victim mentality, then by all means attach to that victimhood mentality, and I will help you release it when you're ready and hold a compassionate space of love until you're ready, as opposed to trying to shove non-dualistic healing approaches down your throat. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I am here to say, okay, here's the difference between judging and shame and discernment from wisdom and love. Because when you're judging someone for being authentic or not, that's normally from a belief system, and that could be a positive or negative belief. It doesn't mean that you have to be negatively judging them. But when you're judging them from that versus discernment, you are either being the generator or the reflector. you're coming in to hold a space for someone, or you're reflecting something back to them, you're receiving or you're giving some form of healing via dualism. And it's painful. If you want healing to be painful, we can go into every single childhood memory you ever wanted. And yeah, I'm not going to do it for free. That's my authenticity. I do charge. But I really don't want to have to do that. That's why you don't see that on aurareader.com. You don't see that on my site anymore, that I do shadow work processes that I've created, because I'm teaching you how to release negative beliefs and powerlessness and victimhood mentality so that you can heal in other ways that aren't so stuck in the matrix-based paradigms. You know what I mean? Joe said, I refuse to judge my discomfort and feel bad about feeling bad. Yeah, it's okay. And I'm not judging your discomfort either. Just know that if you feel that you're aligning with your negative core beliefs and you really feel that you need to go backwards into your timeline, there's so many wonderful processes that will support that, but you will be in pain. Those are suffering-based paradigms. You know what I mean? Discernment does not really attach to a feeling. Discernment is a knowingness. It happens really briefly, really quickly, where you realize that you are not the movie that's on the screen in your mind. You are the screen. The movie that you project onto the screen is your belief system. And if you have one at all, then you are still in a dualistic environment, which means that you are anti-ascension. You are the 49% that's still in the 3D. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me asking you to choose one belief or another, no, I'm asking you to release all beliefs and to realize that you are the screen, not the projection of the movie. You see the difference? This is what I'm trying to teach. How many spiritual wolves are there believing in separation and violence? Absolutely. And as long as you want to believe that harm and suffering are the majority of what is going on here, and that's what it is, if you want to believe in it, then you will stay in it. No, I do not speak French. Yeah, the only thing I know how to speak French is for me to tell you that I don't speak French. And I know how to say my name in French. Yeah, yeah, but I butcher it. I can't even, just very little French. Let me see if I can try. The only thing I learned how to say was, Je ne parle pas français. I think that means I don't speak French. Yeah, I barely speak English, so je ne parle pas anglais as well. I barely speak any human languages. Everything's channeled through, and my brain just tries to keep up. Okay, looking at your questions now. Give me a second. To me, authentic means being in the now and the heart space, and it can hurt. Yeah, it can. It can, because it brings that shadowy part up for you to see. Not that that's good or bad. I'm not judging it, except that it hurts. That's the only way I'm judging it. It is a third dimensional paradigm. That word pulls you deeper into the third dimension. Looking at your questions, give me a second and feel free to ask more. I've got just a few more minutes. I would like for my thought patterns to go inward. Good. Good. And let me read the rest of your question. Is it possible thoughts go outward onto other people? Yeah, definitely. Like mind reading, or is this maybe similar to channeling? If you believe in the projection that they would go completely inward and be only yours, or if you believe that they are projected completely outward, then you believe that you are separate from other beings. But when you believe in the unity and the ties that are binding each fractal of you, and that you are that person, then whenever you're on the same frequency, you understand that you are aligning and becoming one every single time you channel each other. Thought is actually a foundation of a sense. It simply isn't a human sense, but it is the basis of a higher self sense. You know what I mean? So from thought, all the other senses are created. Just looking at your questions for a second. Is 5D New Earth the same place as the other side? I want you to look at that word for a moment, the other side versus this side. What if there's no veil? What if there's no sides that we only perceive that because we perceive separation? What if this is a little bit more like an airport? For those of you who've watched, say, I don't know what that movie is, Top Gun, where you get a view of the inside of the air traffic control tower, and you're looking at the air traffic control, and you see all these lights going, phew, 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 little dots everywhere, and the air traffic controllers are going 250 degrees left, and they sound like auctioneers. Your higher self is doing that in a certain sense of understanding that all of the fractals of you are on the screen, and your higher self is going, oh, we got a near miss. Go this way. And then your ego is going, well, I'm feeling bad, so I want to clash that, and ow. Parts of you feel like they want to die in those moments when those negative core beliefs come forth, where the higher self says, well, if you just simply don't perceive that as a danger there, you might just go this way instead. And you get an observation of something that feels separate, but actually isn't. Your loss, your grief is devastating when you begin to perceive that time ends, that you lose your loved ones. It is the most devastating feeling. And it's not true. There is no other side. There are many various, just like going back to the metaphor of the air traffic control screen and all the planes everywhere, hopefully missing each other. You don't always cross over into the same flight path. Some of you are ready for that, and some of you aren't. So unless you're on the same frequency, you're not going to be on the same flight path. There's reasons for that, because grief is not at the frequency where your lost loved ones, as you have called them, lost. I don't believe that they're lost. Grief is the frequency that actually deters you from being at their particularly higher plane of existence, but it's only a little bit. You know how many flight paths are in these international air zones, say for Atlanta International? That's where my brother works right now. Oh my goodness, thousands. and I don't know about in the planes, in the world of 3D, but in the world of dimensions, the third dimension alone has about 560 planes of existence just within the third dimension. So your loved one could be at the upper third dimension, and you could be just 500 planes downward. However, it feels vast because your grief makes it so, but it's not true. Grief is a liar. Yeah. Higher timeline. Someone says, I'm not sure what higher timeline means, but I keep hearing about it lately. It's in the higher dimensions, it is a timeline wherein your higher self, your more evolved self, is operating in full trust, like in complete trust and love in that higher timeline. For instance, have you ever heard anyone saying, like in the lower timelines, we'll say, oh, ho'oponopono, you need to forgive those who have hurt you. A Course in Miracles, which I highly recommend, by the way, teaches that in the higher timeline, in the higher planes of existence, nothing has been done that is wrong. Therefore, there's no sin. A person cannot do something to you. They do something for you based upon your soul contract, and you should thank them. Easier said than done, right? That's why A Course in Miracles is the meat of a lot of belief systems, but most people aren't ready for it because it sure feels wrong, right? In the third dimension, you know, when someone physically or emotionally hurts you, it feels bad. But when you're thinking in the higher timelines and in the higher dimensions, you stop perceiving wrong and right, dark and light, good and bad. You just know that everyone is innately good. Therefore, it's easier to forgive because nothing has been done wrong. So that is the higher timeline of grace. It's cold. Yeah, someone said then forgiveness is unnecessary. Absolutely. And when you ask, what would love do? I am love. So what would love do? If you ask yourself that question, you will go to a very, very upper fourth dimensional, lower fifth dimensional timeline. I'm going to challenge you further. What would grace do? 6 to 11th dimensional timelines. That's going to bring you back in, and you will respond versus a third dimensional lower human reaction when you ask the question, what would love do? And what would grace do? That'll bring you into those higher timelines. Live your life that way for the next 365 days and make that your New Year's resolution. Then what? Your life will really change then. Allison said, I'm running a free ACIM book club, and I totally love that we are talking about this. Yeah. Can you email me that, Allison? Thank you. I can give you a link with interviews with dead people, transition to spirit people. Yeah, sure. Email it to me. I'm open. Grace is love without attachment. Absolutely. Grace is the trust and belief in the highest and best, and that nothing can happen, all that's bad, because of grace. Is like the most beautiful gift. There's no judgment or attachment with grace. Joe asks, I don't know why I keep coming across your messages, but I do. Why do you think there are so many negative spirits about? Are we in a time releasing the dark? We're releasing our belief that things are dark, yeah. I hear these beings and they aren't from the White Brotherhood. The White Brotherhood is a Melchizedek soul group. And to assume that anything is other than innate good is the problem that keeps people in and about those darker realms, of lower third dimension and upper second, just even a more difficult place, and some parts of lower seventh, which I won't even get into. So it's not that there aren't dark beings, it's that they are projecting darkness as a means of making you believe that it's something bad because there's a part of you that still believes in powerlessness. So when you still believe that, because powerlessness is the majority of the negative core belief system still within the human conscious collective currently in that 49%, we shifted on December the 12th, we shifted to 51%, and we started, the light workers really started going upwards, the belief in innate goodness, the belief that everything is good. And this is bringing us into a year of neutrality and balance. The callous of the world hate that word, by the way. For those of you who are wanting to stick to your dualistic notions, you're going to hate that I said balance. You're not going to like that. And it's going to be fun holding that bridge of consciousness. So this year is a year of what I call emergence. Emergence. You are emerging from within and showing the world what this is, what these non-dualistic notions are, and you're playing with them. So you're experimenting with non-duality this year. Sorry, I'm breathing funny. I still have the cold and it makes me just slightly asthmatic. Whitney asks, do we seek the pain from internal reflection? Then when we see an area of fear or resistance, instead of feeling it and releasing it, we ask the guides to help. If you feel powerless, you believe that your guides are separate and you are coming to them with sort of like prayers of supplication, like asking in a way that you're just completely desperate, which is one of the ways that Yeshua has said, when you pray to me, don't pray prayers of supplication. Don't be like, oh God, please. Granted, he has compassion for it, but it does not promote the response that you want, energetically speaking, because this universe is based upon the laws of reciprocity. It is not here to punish you. It is not here. Karma does not work that way anymore. We're entering the age of Dharma. We are releasing the Kali Yuga. We're coming to the end of what's called the Kali Yuga stage in the Human Conscious Collective right now. And as of 12/12, we're in a brand new stage, and we're feeling that transition between 12/12 and January the 11th. We are going into this higher realm of finally 51% of the current Human Conscious Collective being 5D. Finally. Yay, right? We need to stop and like give ourselves a big old pat on the back for that, because that was freaking hard work. But it's going back to what you say, when you ask your guides for help, then you still believe that you are separate and that there can be anything that is separate. You are your guides. Surprise. And even the subdominant guides like angelics and archangels and things that you definitely don't believe are you, they are the watchers and things of that nature. They are still at some level a fractal of your divinity, although a little bit further down, still separate. But the dominant guides that are speaking through you are you. Estrella, who I recently channeled, is my higher self. She is the same as Pamela, except that when Pamela from ego gets out of the way, because I do still have one, many of us do, when I trance and the ego goes, Estrella comes in, it's like Pamela without ego. But if I exalt Estrella as being divine mother of Elohim, then that's really like denigrating Pamela, the human. To me, the only difference between Pamela and Estrella is that Pamela can still occasionally operate through ego and is working on it desperately, just like the rest of the world. Estrella loves Pamela. They're not separate. They are combined. And when they're like right here with each other, and when they fully integrate, then there will be no more separation or perception of Pamela, the egoic human being. There will just be Pamela and Estrella and oneness, one human being. But right now, if Pamela has any negative core beliefs of unworthiness, which she does, believe me, insignificance, which she does, shame-based core beliefs, definitely she does, then Estrella has a hard time merging as one with the one being that she already is, because Pamela still feels separate. Do you understand? And this is why we call upon guides. Is this making some sense? Is this clicking with some of you? You work with Estrella too? Many people do. Many people, thousands of people from around the world email me saying, you were in my dream state. Believe me, guys, I am most of the time, 80% of the time, completely unconscious. But to that, like it does not, that I bilocate and I don't know where I'm going. That's how I met one of my closest friends, Kathy. My guides were like, okay, now you're deer form. Okay, now you're owl form. Hey, there's a car, fly in front of it. I'm like, the non-human form doesn't think anything is going to go wrong. So she's like, sure, I'll fly in front of that car. Luckily, the person behind the wheel didn't take it as something, to swerve for. Pamela, the ego, would have said, what the hell? No, I'm not doing that, Estrella. But Estrella was there and Pamela was asleep. So this is where I do most of my healing work. Because my ego can get out of the way and my more integrated higher self can take over. But as long as I feel the ego, then there is a version of separation that exists with Pamela talking to her guides. It's all in the languaging. If Pamela were to say, okay, she's going to choose to talk as Estrella because it helps her feel one, okay, that's good. But then the rest of the world is like, yeah. You see how that can be so complicated. Allison said, I do feel my guides are separate, but I'm here coming home to myself. Yeah, that's exactly the point. I need to learn more about bilocating. Well, I do have a class coming up for that, I believe in February, early February. You can look at my Facebook events section or see it from the website. But yeah, it's astral projection and bilocation is coming up. And because I do it every single day and evening of my life, I definitely can teach it. And you don't have to be in some higher dimensional way of mastery in order to do it. It's actually quite simple. Bobby said, Bobby's not here. Bobby went away. Yeah. And then people start to mistake what's going on as a mental illness and lack of function. Yeah. Katie says, I want to meet my higher self. Um, you need to start understanding that you are your higher self. So don't ask that. Just ask to connect. Um, the biggest problem that seems to keep humans in this current state of victimhood and powerlessness, which is the most dominant negative core belief in the human conscious collective, is that belief that we are separate and that we are not connected and that we do not belong. Lack of belonging is the biggest current problem in the human conscious collective. So the more you feel separate from your guides, the more you feel that you do not belong, that they are punishing you, abandoning you, shunning you, and doing everything that your current human reflections around you are allegedly doing to you. Notice I use the word to you. They're actually doing it for you to help you connect, to help you ask for help, to help you heal from powerlessness, because that's how third dimensional paradigms work. You have to feel something negative in order to turn it into something positive. And that's kind of what most humans do. Okay. Don't have to do it that way. So I should probably reword it, but that's just the majority of the belief system, that people believe they have to learn that way by a reflection of something yucky. So ask to connect instead of asking to meet your guide as if she was separate or to talk to her as if she was separate. You want to ask for a true higher self connection and for a true higher self integration. So you can also find ways to seek belongingness from within, not externally, not from other people, but love yourself in a way that makes you understand that it's not true that you do not belong. It can't be true. You have to belong because you're all one. Can you say something about the tunnel of light when we die? Should we follow it or is it a trap? Even that belief system that something could trap you. Do you realize how horribly denigrating and powerless that feels to know that you could possibly make the wrong choice? Is it even possible? Do you believe that you could be trapped? I want you to answer that question, because whatever your answer is will be your experience, because you are God's. You, God's within, are creating your experience for whatever it is. So if you want to believe that you can be trapped by going into the light, that's unfortunately what happened. I'm feeling a little lost. I thought that shadow work was a real breakthrough. It is, and I'm not denigrating it. It is, if you believe that it is. It can be a great breakthrough. I am saying there are other ways to get there. That is all I'm saying. I'm not glorifying my way of non-duality. I'm not debasing the way of those who follow the shadow. I am saying simply that shadow work is painful and that there are easier, more gentle, more loving ways. And that is my perspective, me being completely authentic with you, that I believe that there are more gentle ways. That is all that I'm saying. And if you believe in shadow work as a breakthrough and you believe that's the way that you want to go and dig it up and cry and suffer and release with a bunch of tears, that's going to be what you create, is that you cannot heal except shadow work. So you have to change your belief system for any modality to work. I don't particularly believe that I need any modality to heal. I feel so completely wonderfully grounded, and it's because I don't have shame over how I feel. When I'm angry, people know it. When I'm sad, people know it. And I don't look at my emotions as something from which I need to heal and mend, because I view myself as a pure and whole and divinely perfect, this is not from human ego, a divinely perfect being. So to believe that you are broken perpetuates more of just that, the powerlessness. Okay. To believe that you need some level of healing is hard, because it will create that need. And believe me, I'm not judging or shaming or saying it's this or saying it's that. I'm just saying that the universe is currently based upon the universal law of reciprocity, which means what you feel and experience, you will create and then receive. And that is all. It is not punishing. It is not trying to judge you. I'm sorry for the cold. It is not any of those things. It is simply returning to you and showing you what is. That is all. You can be kind to yourself on the journey, or you can perceive yourself as broken and you would require a shadow work modality if you do. I don't cry or go through the pain. When I do shadow work, does it have to look like someone going through pain? Chances are you're not doing shadow work if you're not crying, because even the word shadow denotes that, that's a bit of a inference towards something being dark. But if darkness does not feel bad to you, maybe you are alchemizing. You are experiencing your shadow side, your light side, and just saying, there's no need to suffer. I'm going to integrate this, and it's going to feel neutral. Or maybe I'm a bit ridiculous. I'm either crying or laughing, bursting into joy. Shadow work practitioners, shamans tell me that I am completely bypassing. And then when they get to the end of the session, they're like, how the hell? I just saw you integrate. How did you do that? And I'm like, because I wasn't bypassing. I don't view my emotions as bad. So whether I am crying or angry or full on laughing, it has happened in shadow work. In my past, I've done a lot of shadow work processes and I would burst out laughing. Most inappropriate times. I've been healing during Diksha meditations lately and it feels joyful. I will alchemize and cry for someone sitting on the right of me and cry during those moments. And then for someone on the left of me, when I feel that they are me and I am them, when I feel that oneness, if they are in grief, I'll cry for them and laugh for this person over here who's in joy. So try not to judge whatever you are emotionally transmuting. Many of you are alchemists, and it is an emotion that is there to be experienced. And that is all. Why judge it as something that's good or bad? You know what I mean? I think that you're just an alchemist, Susan. Oh, Raven, yes. She said, I think I'm starting to understand if I don't consciously or unconsciously judge anything, then I can emerge into love. Yes. Yeah. And then you can blossom into grace. Emergence is the first step towards grace, where you realize that oneness and you stop judging, you release all judgments, and then thereby you begin to release attachments. And when you release attachments, you're really no longer worried about, what anyone else is thinking or saying or doing, allegedly to you. You are realizing that the universe is working for you at all times, and it feels so much better. My goodness. Get some C vitamins. I know I have been. It's just a little cold. Is a part, I don't know if you guys started noticing that after December 12th and going well into January the 11th, that we are going through a massive portal right now. And it's a big wave of ascension for us into the fifth dimension. And this is what the emergence is. We are emerging, but what happens is we are releasing that which no longer serves us. So you're getting more colds. I recently recovered from viral meningitis. Like, oh my goodness. So that was a big wave of growth for me to release judgments. And I feel like I'm not there yet. I feel like I'm still doing it. I'm observing the ways that I judge myself. And then observing that stinging feeling when someone judges me and going, oh, look at that. I do that to myself. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Ascension flu. That's what one of you said in the chat. Stinging nettle herb. This may sound like duality. I know that you're saying that'll stop my running nose, but like my judgment right now are going, stinging nettle. Ow, ow. You see what fear does in judgments? Grace is a gift. I can't speak of it because it is undefinable. It's like if you had Christmas every day. It's like everything is a present and you understand true divine love, and it is completely wonderful. It's like being overwhelmed with tears of love for everything and everyone all the time. Grace is like an immense Kundalini experience that has calmed down. It is amazing. Oh, man. Okay, Poba. She said, I need to release the belief that I am totally ugly. I don't know why YouTube censored that. Here, let me click so it, I don't know why it censored it. View the deleted message. Here we go. I need to release the belief that I am totally ugly. I can't let someone see me without makeup. I went through that too. And I never wore much makeup. And now the only thing I wear is mascara, and I do a little bit of eyebrow, something that, because I have a little bit of hair loss here from a thyroid imbalance, I like make that more full. And then I use mascara and chapstick. And that is what I wear, truly. Um, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. It doesn't mean that you will be disingenuous and say, I love the way I look. But I want you to start taking note by asking those who actually love you how they perceive you, both with makeup and without makeup. It takes a lot of courage, but I did this maybe about a couple years ago. I stopped wearing makeup. For those of you who've been following me, you notice the big difference in my skin. It's like 3 years ago versus now. So I stopped about 2.5 years ago, and I started asking people, do you notice a difference in my energy, both with makeup and without? And I only asked people that I really trusted to be loving. Not people who would lie to me, but I was just people who would just be safe, who would tell me the truth, but would just be safe in the way that they would do it emotionally. You know what I mean? So, and I call this the accountability journal. I took notes on this every day for about 6 months because I really wanted to know how I was being perceived. And finally, after just hundreds and hundreds of responses, when I would ask people, even if the person behind me at the gas station waiting on the pump, I got pretty bold. After a while, I got so confident in what people were saying about my skin and how I looked without makeup that I would ask strangers. That's how it goes. So within that level of authenticity, when you're feeling vulnerable, it's a really awareness that you are not your body. And would you really want people in your lives, if they only loved you and thought you were beautiful with makeup, would you even want those people to begin with? You know what I mean? So back to my story with that, I started a natural skincare line. You want to find out, well, I didn't personally start it. Someone else started it, and I kind of just joined her. And it's called restoreskinbalance.com. And I just came in somewhere along the game and started helping her create these products because I wanted essential oil based, all natural organic products on my face only. So now all of everything that's on my face is completely raw, but it's not makeup. It's just moisturizers and different old little eye creams. And there's an anti-aging spray that I use before shows, things like that. And that's all that I use. But prior to then, that helped out a lot. But prior to then, my point in keeping the accountability journal is to see yourself in a more loving way. I did the accountability journal when I decided to go on YouTube because for those of you who don't know me very well, I'm actually shy, really, really shy. It took me the entirety of the 2.5 years to be able to talk to you and even look into the camera. Truly, that's authenticity right there, because when I first started, I was looking all over the screen, and my business managers at the time were like, just look a little bit above or a little bit below. So I started to learn through my accountability journal to fall in love with myself. So now what I do is, because I love myself, I put a version of me underneath my camera and look at myself, and I do my I love yous directly into my eyes. Right now, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at my own paused image on Google Hangouts. Some of you are going to call that cocky. I'm waiting. I don't care, by the way. You can. I'm not offended by your judgments, but because I love myself, I do mirror work. I look at myself in the mirror. Many people around the world do this. And I try to catch myself feeling and looking beautiful. And I will look myself in the eyes in the mirror and say, I love you. So I do this. Allison said, haha, cocky. Got it. I know you though, so that doesn't count. has to be someone who doesn't before I would even think about letting it bug me. How do you do an accountability journal? Oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. Just get yourself a blank little journal and then write down the positive reinforcements that you receive every single time you ask another being a question about you. Here are the two ways that I did it that really worked best when I first started learning to go on YouTube and to share my challenge with the world. Because I've been doing this for about 18 years total, but I only got on YouTube 2.5 years ago because I was scared. So, in my accountability journal for YouTube, I went on to a public spiritual community that's very well known, and it wasn't mine. And I said, hey, you guys are my students. I've been doing readings for you and healings with you for the past couple years. Thank you for all your support. I'm getting ready to go on YouTube and teach, but I don't look like this community member. Was Till Swan, by the way. That was her community that I did that with. I'm like, I don't look like her. I'm not thin. I'm not gorgeous. I'm not these things in my perspective. I'm actually, at that time, I was about 60 pounds overweight. So I said, and I'm also 60 pounds overweight. So would you learn someone who's trying to teach you about, health and overall spiritual well-being when I'm 60 pounds overweight? And it was, oh my gosh, that post stayed up and up. People kept bumping it and bumping it and bumping it for like, for like 2 months. That post stayed up and people would bump it. And there was only like one negative comment, and it wasn't even that negative. The person basically said, well, you do need to look deeper within. Like, so why are you looking for approval from us? Which is very valid, but that is what I needed at the time. It was like I needed permission to view how other people saw me, not just physically, but does it even matter? Does the physical even matter? And not only did they say it didn't matter, but some of them were like, what the hell are you talking about? You're gorgeous, which I don't see that. I still don't see that. I love myself, but I don't see gorgeous. I just see kind of a normal looking human being. So I just now got to the point where I could see myself as occasionally attractive. I'm still working on it. So for those of you who are working on that, go ahead and get rid of your makeup. In my accountability journal, what I did to get rid of makeup, and to be completely transparent with that, I just stopped completely, except for the chapstick and mascara. And I just started doing YouTubes without makeup. I'm like, oh God, here we go. And I started getting comments back. You look glowing, you look radiant, you look this. What did you do that's different? And I'm like, well, I just went there. I just feel naked. That's all that I did. And then I got into a relationship with someone who doesn't like makeup. And when I would wear it, he would say, it just kind of looks gorish. I just don't really like when women wear makeup. And especially you look so great without it. Please don't wear it. And I went, what? You view me as more attractive without it? So that gave me even more approval. So it was just amazing. YouTube is popping. What does that mean? What does that mean? Am I messing something up in my voice? Is it cracking the microphone? Hopefully not. So anyway, that was my level of authenticity about, coming out to the world with not wearing makeup and being fully authentic about who I am. I will show up at events with leggings. I'm not ready for the t-shirts yet, but leggings and long sweaters. I will not show up wearing white robes. It's not my style, or big long dresses or something completely professional. You'll never see me in a turtleneck and some business pants either. I look like a hippie, and I don't care. I love it. I love, love, love looking like a mother, looking like the being that I am. Yeah. I love LuLaRoe. I'll admit it. It's a Utah thing. People just keep shipping me LuLaRoes as gifts, and it feels so comfortable. Okay, Courtney, you said that this being an alchemist, why alchemist? I am curious to learn how to use emotional alchemy side of myself for my benefit. Suggestions for further work with you. I would read everything you can get your hands on about emotional alchemy, but particularly the Rosicrucian teachings. I have a past lifetime as a prominent Rosicrucian, being a leader of the Rosicrucian order in a very recent lifetime. And this is why I'm an alchemist in this lifetime. Alchemy means you are combining everything. You're not looking at something as being too much of one or too little of the other. You are combining and integrating the everything and using everything that life comes towards you with as a tool. So that's just a broad definition of it. Allison, she said, I have a very disfigured arm and scars on my leg, and I hope I can get past this and be okay with it. Yeah. Yeah, that's harder. You know, I cannot imagine, because I don't have anything like that. I do have scars because I have 4 kids, so I have like the stretch marks. So, but I can't imagine that. I want you to do the mirror work with it. I want you to find something that you love about your body, even if it's not the disfigured arm, even if it's not the scars. Focus on something else for a while and give it all of your focus. That was another way that I went into authenticity with self-love. The best makeup is joy. Someone said, yeah, absolutely. I agree. How do you know if you're in 5D? You feel it. You don't feel that everything is in judgment and attachment. You don't feel completely attacked or shamed anymore. It's not that it's perfect. The lower 5D is still, there's still some degree of struggle with self-love. We are still those 51% who have gone into that ascension after December the 12th. We still are on the tail end, like just beginning with self-love. So when you're fully in 5D, you will completely love yourself. But lower 5D still doesn't, but they do it enough to be in lower 5D. Since we are playing a character, is there really any free will? Good point. Yes and no. I'm going to draw this before I leave you guys today, which is going to have to be soon because I have to get my daughter to gymnastics here soon. I want to share something with you, but I need to be able to see myself on screen in action so that I can know what I'm drawing and watch it. So it looks a little bit like this. Okay. Here's me. Sorry for my rudimentary drawings. I am not an artist with a pen, but it's better with paint. Truly. So this is me. This is the karmic path, my evolution, my life purpose. This is the divine will, which is my ultimate goal. Basically speaking, you have divine will, and it is the strongest thing that you will ever have, that has ever been, that will ever be, and it cannot be superseded. Your free will is not stronger, but it is equal. But this path can shift. So here's the path of free will. Hold on. I'm going to make this really elaborate and dramatic just so you get my point. Okay. Free will. Okay. See, free will. Okay. Divine will. If you follow divine will, get to the same path. Follow free will. You have the will to go off that track. You have the will to beat yourself up. You have the will to stop loving yourself. You have the will to forget who you are. You have the will to believe in powerless, thought-based, yucky stuff, teachings that are fear-based. You have the will. You have the free will. It's there. But do you notice how in the end, it goes back to here? It is the ultimate goal that you're going to go to divine will no matter what. Does that, you guys understand where I'm coming from with that? Hopefully that will be something that makes a lot of sense. All right, guys, thanks for talking to me about so many different topics today. Thanks for coming in and sharing space and holding space with me. I will be in San Diego for a live channeling event and a shamanic healing event and a concert. So this is a 3-day event. If you want to see me live, I'm working with another alchemist. So on Friday, he and I are doing a concert. On Saturday, we're doing shamanic healing of the divine feminine and divine masculine archetypes. So that's big, big, big healing. So for those of you who like shadow work, that's That's the way to do it. Do it safely and with love, with people who can hold a loving space for you. And then on Sunday, that's when I'm going to be channeling Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and doing some alchemical sound healings as well thereafter, and then private sessions if you want them. First come, first serve. San Diego at Marina Village, marinavillage.net is the venue. Holds up to 100 people. And right now we still have some space. So feel free to sign up and see me in person. It's February the 16th, 17th, and 18th. And you can find that information on my Facebook. I post it all the time. It's at Eventsy. It's listed at Eventsy as well. You can email me about it if you have questions. You guys know that. That's Pamela Aaralyn at gmail.com. Or you can email me from my website, aurareader.com. So thank you for everyone who showed up on YouTube and on the Zoom today. And I really appreciated talking about authenticity because I felt that there were a lot of misconceptions about that. And just sort of like everyone has to be authentic. As long as you're not using authenticity as a way to shame yourselves or anyone else, or either against yourself or against other people, then be who you are. But keep in mind that authenticity can be used to shame yourself or shame another person. And if it goes in that way, it may not be the healthiest thing for your spiritual awakening. That's primarily the core of what I had to share. So within this authenticity movement, please stay emotionally safe and do not beat yourselves up with authenticity, because that would not be worth it. It would not be loving. I love you. Namaste.